Good evening and welcome to SISTABIZ. Today is June 16th. My name is Tamara Brown. I'm here with my co-host, Nicole Orr. How are you doing, Nicole?
I'm good. I'm actually in this hot meeting right now. It's the governance meeting for Southwest Partnership. So waiting to cast my vote. I'm surprised at how Union Square representatives actually voted. So again, that kind of speaks to the fact that there is two divisions within the Union Square neighborhood, where they only give out newsletters to half of the houses. And of course, none of the minority businesses. So it's very alarming at how the president and vice president voted, and I'm calling them out. No, I vote no, 100% no, and you guys are live on air, and I'm done with this. I am done with this. They are live on air, and it's sad at what is going on in these neighborhoods right now.
So for the viewers that don't understand, exactly, what was just happening, can you explain it a little more in depth? What neighborhood specifically you're talking about? What organization you were just dealing with?
First of all, there are 6 neighborhoods across this West Baltimore area, and it's supposedly represented by a neighborhood association called Southwest Partnership. Southwest Partnership, just yesterday, news dropped about the Office of Inspector General's investigation. They were listed as a nonprofit that basically were taking money from developers, and they basically got their hands slapped. They issued
Okay, so wait, you're telling me that a nonprofit organization that's representing neighborhoods in Baltimore City, the Office of Inspector General report was focused on this particular organization, and they were steering the money towards certain developers and taking.
Correct.
Wow.
Well, basically, certain developers were cherry picking from the tax sale. And I admit, I was a developer that actually purchased a tax sale certificate. I was actually notified maybe about 2-3 weeks ago that I needed to go through my paperwork, because there was probably some suspect things. And sure enough, at the time when my redemption check was paid out to me, I didn't really think anything of it, but the interest did not seem like it was supposed to be the amount. And like I said, 3 weeks ago, someone contacted me and said I needed to go through my paperwork, and boom, sure enough, they owed me money to the tune of $285. They've been holding on to my money since last year. It's not a lot of money, but the thing is that they profited off of money that I thought that I had put up to purchase a tax sale certificate. It was redeemed. And when it was redeemed, they took a portion of those proceeds. So when they took a portion of those proceeds, what happened? They benefited. So when I requested to see this paperwork, so we've been going back and forth for probably like the last couple of days or whatever, they issued me the certificate, and the money that I put up, $6,100 and some change, the certificate was with Southwest Partnership's name on it. So technically, they used my money to purchase a tax sale certificate and took a portion of my interest. So then today they issued a rebuttal letter, which I cautioned them because they were basically calling the OIG a liar. They're saying that the inaccuracies that she came up in her report were inaccurate, which if you're taking someone's money, the profits, aren't you charging a fee? I cautioned them very wisely that they may want to seek counsel. As business owners, we have decided that they cannot represent us. Right now, we have a situation where their president has charges, warrants, and if anyone cares to research those warrants, go for it.
So the president of Southwest Partnership currently has
the board.
The board of Southwest Partnership currently has an active warrant in the state of Maryland.
Correct, in Baltimore County. Mm-hmm. And the warrant, he already has one conviction pretty much for perjury charges. And this second one is for false entry. And they can look it up. It's C03CR2000714. That is the current warrant.
That's the case number with the
Case number.
wow. Wow.
Correct. And they are aware. This is astounding. So they call the inspector general pretty much a liar, and that she's libelous.
So Baltimore City, I'm sorry, the Baltimore City Inspector General, I know you're really hot coming off of this meeting, so I just want to, the Baltimore City Inspector General, Isabel Mercedes Cummings, has been called a liar by Southwest Partnership, by the board, and basically that the report that came out on June 15th, yesterday, and for you all watching, you can get a copy of that report if you just Google OIG, Baltimore City OIG reports, you can always see the last published report. Very interesting. So, and so that report came out yesterday. I did review it briefly, and it appears that there's this mystery of the head of the Baltimore Housing was dismissed last year, and there was some, question on why he was dismissed. So the assumption is that it was based on this Inspector General's report. It looks like the previous administration, typically when the Inspector General does a report, it goes to the administration first, and then they're given generally 28 days to respond. And then that report is included with the public synopsis that you all receive. So there's always a longer report that's given to the mayor's office, and then a short abbreviated report with redacted names is issued to the public, is what came out yesterday. What I did find interesting is the fact that it came out a year after, almost a year after Mr. Braverman was dismissed, and after a year of you see a previous administration responding to an action that looked like it was done last year. So I wonder what the delay was in reporting this, and what harm it may have caused. I don't know, but there's definitely a significant delay.
Well, I totally agree. I mean, it appears that, Mr. Braverman was fired back in August because of his wrongdoings, allegedly. Well, not even allegedly. They pretty much said that he pretty much had these wrongdoings.
Did it say his name? I mean, that's what I thought.
It does. It does say at the end that Michael Braverman pretty much, in Southwest Partnership, even in their letter today, acknowledged that Michael Braverman may have lost his job inappropriately. But my thing is that I'm getting ready to draft to the state, and we're going to question their 501c3 status, whether or not they are the organization that should be in control of anything. Look at West Baltimore. This organization has been there for 6 years, and look at West Baltimore. Where's the accountability for West Baltimore? Now, mind you, I will, fully disclose that I 100% used to work, with this organization. I am a developer. I do own numerous properties in this neighborhood, but I will honestly tell you, I'm 100% disgusted at the fact that they have not, and the report was 100%. It's telling. Not only is it telling, but then to have someone sitting as your board president that has such a history, that's a documented history. That's problematic.
Right, a history of fraud, but that doesn't seem to stop the city. A history, a criminal history, a history of fraud doesn't stop the city from employing or fraud is typically something that will not a criminal record, but fraud is typically an area where you should be cautious when hiring, and that does not seem to stop the city in a lot of instances. We've also awarded contracts to people that have been under investigation for Medicare fraud and did pay a fine, and then we awarded them with a Medicare contract. So that does seem to be the way of the city, and it seems like the organizations that support the neighborhoods within the city are following suit. I would not be surprised if the previous administrations have been also involved in some of the mishandling that was discovered in the Office of Inspector General's report, and that's why I find it interesting that it came out now in Brandon Scott's administration, when the finding actually occurred during the Jack Young administration. I didn't see a comment or anything from the current administration No response. It was actually, from Kim Morton, the previous chief of staff. Just very strange that the report came out in 2020, or that they submitted something to the mayor in 2020 and we're just seeing something in 2021.
It is. It's well, what I will say is that I think there is some question right now as into the developer. Right now, there's a struggle with Poppleton as into who the true president is. We have one person who has been on our show, Sonia Edie, who used to represent Poppleton, and that's what this vote was about tonight, whether or not to continue the meeting, to say who would be the legal representation for Poppleton. And then you have someone else, I believe her name is Dottie, who is in support of the developer. Well, the person that sits as president for Southwest Partnership, apparently he issued an emergency letter to this developer against what the previous administration of Poppleton wanted. It's very complex because here this developer has this letter. This is a developer that's been on contract with the city since 2006. So when I say why did they decide to do this now, they did it, I think, because that's not only is he trying to sell off his property, I think that there's going to be some changes, and the previous administration wants to step away from it.
This developer in particular, we haven't said the name, but this developer in particular received a $54 million TIF, I believe, a tax increment funding from the city. It was approved. I think this has been going on since 2005. And the issue is, if this development does not succeed, there's just a lot of issues. Number one, the developer, and we talked about this before, and we were waiting to see if Miss Edie is going to join us. I'm not sure she's in a current meeting that Nicole just spoke about, but the developer did receive a TIF within the land disposition agreement, where he was awarded this land and purchased the land for a very minimal price. He was supposed to replace the homes with some affordable rental properties, some rental units, and also some homes that the people that were displaced could purchase. But apparently that's not happening. There are no homes to purchase. It's mostly rental property, and that's part of the problem. So when you displace people, we're just trying to get an understanding as to when the homes for purchase will be available. So he's I guess essentially breached that agreement with the city to date. Is there any property that anyone could purchase that has been displaced from this development? And this
not that I'm aware of. From my understanding, they were saying that it was supposed to be some type of amendments where everything he was going to do was going to be rentals. So my question is, and one reason that I'm highly concerned about the entire process is that how do you take someone's home and you do not replace a home? The city is basically telling people, oh, the highway to nowhere took people's Black legacy, took their homes, but yet you have a Black developer doing the same thing. Is it right when you feel that white people do it, but we can do it to each other? How about this? We all deserve a chance at what is considered American wealth, and that is through home ownership a lot of times. I do not believe that if you take a home, you should replace it with a rental property, period. So,
well, the homes were taken by eminent domain. The city forced people out of their homes. And so, yeah, even more to the point, it wasn't, just purchased outright, where they went up to these individuals and the developer said, hey, I'll purchase your property from you. This was eminent domain. It was legally taken, and purchased for very small amounts. From what I understand, the homeowners did not get a lot of money. And so that's part of the problem. The city is part of that problem. So,
and not to mention, and I'm just going to throw this out here, because I am privy to a lot of the different things that are going on in the different organizations, because I am a owner in pretty much all of the 6 neighborhoods. How many, it was for him to create jobs. Part of the development was jobs. So I'm just curious to know, because I realized that he used out-of-state developers, contractors. How many people from Baltimore City, and to include minorities, was employed?
Well,
I have those types of questions.
Well, we talked about this when we had Miss Edie on before. We do know that with that land disposition agreement, there are minority participation goals. I'm very familiar with and seen it with my own two eyes. I know that there were goals on these projects, and I do believe Miss Edie has submitted a request for a PIA request, and to see how that developer, who he's used, and if it has been local minority businesses as he was supposed to use, certified businesses. And I'm not sure. It doesn't look like she's received that information as of yet. I think she's getting a little bit of, they're spinning it around. So it's been sent to another agency at this point. The city cannot report on the minority participation of this project to date.
And that's a problem. Bill Henry, if you're listening, that's a problem. Brandon Scott, that is a problem.
Right. We see them at the Board of Estimates talking about this week after week after week. And to my understanding, the last chief of the office who replaced me has also been, she's left. So we have another turnover in that office, and we still have no answers. How many minority businesses are getting participation on regular contracts or this development in particular? And the city's not able to answer that. And even though the land disposition agreement says that. So I say that, we say this to say that I guess it's a good place to come and get a $58 million TIF. You get a tax break. You can, the city will sell you some land for a very low price. And then you can build, and if it doesn't succeed, I mean, it's nothing to you. This is what happened when Target came in. No one held Target accountable at Mondawmin, and they did receive a TIF, and they came in and they left. It's happening with Port Covington. A huge TIF was approved. They've got a tax increment funding, and so if they don't do what they say they're going to do in about 10 to 20 years, the city's really going to feel it, because we're not going to get anything back.
Right, because there will be no property taxes. How could you have, the only person that's going to pay property taxes is the person that owns the building to the renters?
Right. If it's all rental property, we have a problem here. So we really just, the city, I always say, is on fire, and I don't know who's going to rescue us. I do see that our mayor is showing up after the shootings, and so here we have this conspiracy going on with Southwest Partnership in what should be a thriving neighborhood. We have the Office of the Inspector General. I believe it's a delayed report. I'd love to have Isabel Cummings on the show with us to discuss what the delay was. I don't know how much she can talk about. I do know that they do remove names from the report. We kind of have to guess. I haven't seen much more reporting on it, so we'll see what comes out of it. I'd love to have Isabel on the show to talk about what she's doing and what's really going on, and how they decide to report things and not to report things. We have a mass, I think 5 shootings today, 1 person killed, or 6 people were shot, and I think 1 killed and 5 injured. We've got a crazy crime rate. We've got the mayor taking resources from the neighborhoods where a lot of these murders are happening and moving them over to Fells Point last week, which was a huge discussion in the city, and then not showing up to the meeting that he wanted to hold. I mean, it's just, we've got a lot of problems in the city, and it just seems like the question is starting to come out, where is Mayor Scott? And I don't know where he is. I know that he had a crime plan, and he went again on this ticket to say, I've got this plan in place. He's got this equity plan. We see this going on with Southwest Partnership. When is your crime plan going to be activated, and when is the equity going to happen in the city? We would love to have Mayor Scott on the show to discuss that. I mean, I can't say that we're critics. I know that it's hard to run a city. I know that it's a lot going on in the city, but I do know that that's not what he said when he was running. He didn't say, hey, look, it's a lot and I can't handle it and it's probably going to get worse. He said he was going to come in and make all these changes, and I haven't seen any occur. So,
ooh, they say, where's Wu-Tang? Where's Waldo? Well, my thing is that he shows up to the murders. And one thing, my hat is gonna go off to him. And I'm just gonna say, we talk a lot of game from the sideline, because that's what he did, as city councilman to his predecessors, right? But then when you get into that hot seat, it's something completely different. And I understand that. I 100% understand that. When you drive, you the captain of that boat, it's a different feel. However, my thing is this, is that I love the pressure that I am seeing all around the city. They are putting pressure on this administration to the point of no return, whether it is Fells Point. I saw, Union Square and them come out and things, but I'm loving seeing the pressure, whether it's the OIG reports. I'm loving seeing it because it is time for people to get riled up, because I am riled up. I'm riled up at these these different neighborhood associations that are there self-profiteering. And it's a problem for me. I'm glad today Councilman Bullock's Linda Lomax got out today and stood on my corner and looked at some of the issues. I wasn't present, but I'm glad we are putting this pressure on them. They need pressure, and it is pressure from all around the city. Now, where he is, I can tell you where he's not, but my thing is that, it's a tough job. It is 100% a tough job. He did say that he was going to hit the ground running, and he's doing that for y'all. He running.
He's running to after the crime scene. It's like,
well, he's not Superman. He can't dodge, but he do need to get out there.
He do that, but we do have a police commissioner that's been in place for some time now. He did again run to say, look, I'm the candidate with a crime plan. I'm the one. I have it. It's I have a documented crime plan. And it's just it is a lot of talk, like one of our viewers was saying. And we do want him to be about it. We need him to be about it. So I know it's a high pressure job, but he knew that before he took it. He's lived in Baltimore. He's a son of Baltimore. He's from Park Heights, like he says every chance we hear it. So he's very familiar with Baltimore City. This I will say again, like I always say, this is nothing new. There's nothing going on new in this city, and you knew what you were getting. I get it if you thought you were getting, some tranquil. It was just tranquil, and then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. But we know what the problem is, and so we cannot absolve him of that, and I can't make an excuse for it. And I know you can't go out and stop bullets, but what is the plan? We just want to know what the plan is. You said you had a plan. What is the plan? And I see a lot of photo ops, and some trees were down, and you're out, and then you're out where the murders happen. I did love the fight that the community is showing now. I see a lot of movement. We were at a voter registration drive yesterday, Nicole and I. I see this movement, and I think in the next 4 years, we're going to see a change in the way the city politicians look and in the way they act. I think we're actually going to see people. We're going to see a change. There is a movement happening. It's an uprising. It's a revolution. I love a good revolution, and I see it coming. People are tired. I saw people from Fells Point going to a community meeting in West Baltimore. When we unite as a city and say we've just had enough, we've had enough. I saw someone make a comment that, look, Baltimore, this is what you voted for. This is what you're getting. But actually, we didn't quite do that. If you tally all of the votes, if you tally all of the votes of all of the candidates, of course, Brandon wasn't the majority when you look at it that way. So did the city really vote for Brandon? We shouldn't get knocked for that, because I think we were looking for something different. We were looking for a change, and he just happened to somehow, out of all of the candidates, the vote broke down, and he was the victor. So I think Nicole is she's in on the meeting, and
you're listening. Certain parts just be like, oh. But it's all done for me on that end. My main thing is that, and I'm just gonna be nice about it, as nice as I can be. The city is so infested with the same status quo. People think that people voted for this. When you look at the split vote, how many people did we have running on a Democratic ticket? What was it, 20?
It was too many.
So if you split that vote, or if you add up all of those 19 people to his, did he really win?
Right. That's the question.
I
I
mean,
just asked.
that's just my question. And I'm being nice. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to win. I'm saying, did he really win? Because when you have 20 candidates, and I'm exaggerating because I don't know what the real number was, but and everybody got 25 votes and you only got 25, I mean, you may have got 50. Can you imagine how many, you see what I'm saying? And we would have had equal candidates. So my thing is that we are stuck with this leadership for the next 3 years, whether we own in the city, have businesses in the city, live in the city, whatever, rent in the city. So we got to put pressure. The pressure got to come from everywhere.
The pressure is coming. We have to keep it up. It's going to take a village. It's always, that's always the best approach to anything. And we all have to work together. Every race from every neighborhood, we have to work together to push these folks out. And I really feel confident that it's going to happen. And we have to do it, from the state down. And next week, we're going to have a delegate from the 43rd District, Regina T. Boyce, on with us. And we're going to talk about some other things that happened this week, like the governor deciding to end the unemployment for people because he feels like there's fraud. They need to get back, people need to get back to work. We're going to talk about a lot of that next week from the state level, but from the city level, and we do focus on the city, even though this is we are on some national platforms. We focus at home. We got to fix home first. And we're just asking for the city just to do better. So now is the time to register to vote. Make sure you're registered to vote. Ask everyone around you if they're registered to vote. And then, we can't tell you who to vote for, but what we can tell you is to be educated on the candidates. And that's some things that we talked about yesterday. Our guest from last week, Doc Cheatham, had a voter registration in the 21217 zip code. And at a really nice park in the middle of 21217. And I just encourage everyone to register to vote and know the candidates and really hold them accountable. But for the next 3 years, we're going to apply pressure. We're going to apply pressure as a team, as a city, and we're going to keep holding them accountable. So the developers like Nicole, who were like someone like Southwest Baltimore Partnership, South Baltimore Partnership was holding on to your interest, and $200 may seem minimal, but when you multiply that by all the people that did, what Nicole did and purchased their certificate, that's a lot of money. And so there's probably more fraud going on that didn't come out in the IG report that we haven't seen yet. And that's unfortunate.
Well, her report, and kudos to whoever, did the complaint. Because like I said, 3 weeks ago, I was kind of prompted to reach out to Southwest Partnership, look through my paperwork, in which I did, and found that discrepancy. But her report was highlighting fees in a fake fund that they were supposed to have set up with the state. A lot of these things are federal infractions. So my thing is when does the Department of Justice get involved? I'm going to challenge their 501c3. I do not think that they are the entity right now for West Baltimore development. I just don't. Because they have failed. They have not removed, like I said, someone that's sitting there that has this history of fraud and just poor fiduciary responsibilities. And just applying pressure is holding them accountable. They are a nonprofit that is basically soliciting funds. They have taken funds from, people and utilized it as their own. That's a form of a loan. Are you disclosing these loans? And then you're going to put them in your name. I mean, so her report didn't even cover those things because I never received a call, from her, nor have I reached out to her. So to see it, yesterday, it just kind of, the person that probably contacted me may have been the one that gave them the information, but they really need to do a thorough investigation. And yes, I do think that the DOJ needs to be investigating, and they need to start at the leadership that they have in right now, because that's very suspect to me.
Right. It's very well that they could have gone to the state attorney general's office, and maybe it was pushed to the feds. If there's some state misappropriation, and we know Brian Frosch is running for governor, so he's going to want to jump on some things. So we don't know. Maybe there is more, and she delayed putting the report out for those reasons. Although at that point, with her putting it out now, you would think some indictments or something else was happening. We don't know yet. So again, I don't know why the report was delayed almost a year, but that is something that we do want our viewers to know, to look at the IG report, to look at the response, look at the dates. The date of the report is dated 2020. She dates, the Inspector General's office dates that the first two numbers are the year that they started the report. And if you look at the sequence of numbers, I'm sure it's really behind, because again, it was last year. So Mr. Braverman, no one's heard from him since he since he left the city. We don't know. I mean, we don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm sure, probably for his retirement, they probably was like, go away quietly. I'm sure he's a wealth of resources in regards to the different convoluted things that have happened in the city. And that's right. Hashtag audit Baltimore.
But see, well, the city does do audits, and they're very proud of these audits that they do. But check this out.
No.
The city auditor, right now, Mr. Pash. I mean, credit to him. He does run the audits, and they come through the comptroller's office. However, Audrey Askew was the previous auditor, and I do know when she left, she just said she was going to keep her integrity in place. I would love to have Audrey Askew on the show to ask her experience when she was the auditor for Baltimore City. She's a Black female auditor, and for whatever reason, she just left. And there were some questions where she was not going to, she was not going to let go of her integrity. So that ought to tell you something's wrong with the auditing that the city is doing.
The city, no one can audit themselves. I'm just being 100% honest. I mean, that's like asking the police to police the police. You know what I mean? Or me, if I'm on a diet trying to stay out of the cookie jar. I mean, come on now. We can't do it. Like, we always going to cut ourselves some type of slack. And that's what's going on in the city. They cannot police themselves. They've proved it time and time again. Look at the water the situation. How do you contract millions and millions of dollars with water meters that cannot be operated properly?
Itron is the contractor for the water meters, and it's been a problem from day one. And there was a lot of internal incest, I would say, going on in Department of Public Works, who was managing it. And yes, after when everything first came out with the Ritz-Carlton and not being billed, and I don't even know how that ended up. Did the Ritz-Carlton ever pay a water bill? I don't know. I don't think we have a final on that. But the person that was supposed to do the audit was one of the people that was working on the whole, working on it from the beginning. Again, the city tends to want to audit itself and doesn't want the truth to come out. I just think that, I would love if the Inspector General did full reports like she did on Joan Pratt when it was like a 30-page report that we all got to see. And I understand she's an elected official, but there was just a lot of, when we talk about the time delay in certain reports and the amount that the public gets, it's very limited when it comes to others. And I just saw that it was very thorough when it was during an election season and it came to Joan Pratt. So
Well, I mean, my hope is that someone is going to request it, the redacted version. We already have Southwest Partnership that has stepped up and claimed ownership as being the nonprofit. I have that in writing. If anyone wants to see it, give me a call. They also mentioned it at their board meeting last night. They attempted to speak to it, but again, today issuing a response, and I told them, you send that response, I would vet it with counsel, honestly, because you're going to call the OIG a liar, but she's done a thorough, I'm quite sure, hopefully thorough investigation, and she has witnesses, I'm sure, and documentation, and the proof is in the pudding. I could take my documentation, because my documentation is the same thing, where they took a portion of my profits. Is that not a fee?
Right. So
it's work not earned.
I wish we could have seen that. That she definitely, the Inspector General's office typically has, attachments, and I'm sure the report again that the mayor got was, at least 30 pages. Who knows how much? But there were exhibits and things showing and demonstrating what their finding is. And so what the public doesn't get to see, and it's unfair to us, because we can have Southwest Partnership say something like, oh, this is inaccurate, because we don't see on such and such day we interviewed this person and this is the evidence that we have. For whatever reason, it's not public, and I don't think that's fair to the public. I think that when there is a question, there's an IG report, and it's about an employee or anyone or a public official, I think it should go to the city council, and I think there should be a public hearing, and I think whoever is in that report should have an opportunity to speak, or everything comes out at that time. I don't think that the Inspector General's office, in a public office with our tax dollars, where we voted to be independent, should be able to redact anything. I want to see the full report for everything all the time. I don't understand why the public doesn't get to see that. I don't know where it's written. I don't know where it's written. I don't think it's slander. I don't think it's libel. I don't think there's anything wrong. If they have findings, it should be public, and the public should be able to form their own opinion, and names should be included. I do believe Inspector Generals prior to the current, Isabel Cummings, did put names. I do see it in other areas. I don't know if it's a new standard practice for IGs to remove names. But I want to know. I want to know more. That 3 pages, it just was not enough for me.
Let's request it. My thing is this. The person that contacted me, I'm quite sure that they were privy to this investigation. I'm going to call and I'm going to request it. And I'm also going to invoke MPIA, and I'm going to see whether or not we can get it, because they're representing my business.
Yeah, it doesn't always work.
It doesn't. Well, yeah.
Well, we saw that, right?
Yeah, but it's a system of checks and balances. So if they don't want to respond, then we're going to put pressure on their neck, and we're going to bring the feds so that they do. My thing is enough is enough. I am sick of the corruption. I am sick of what's going on in the city. I am tired of them thinking that it's okay. I'm tired of these different neighborhood associations. Same thing. So it's the same thing. I mean, I'm in a neighborhood that's split between 2 different factions. And I find out my city councilman, he's like, oh, I told such and such. No, well, I pay my taxes to the city, not to such and such. You know what I mean? And you don't hear anything about what's going on. It may be 400 houses. They pass out information newsletters to 200. Now you tell me, what kind of organization is that? They don't support any of the minority businesses. Yeah, I mean, I can go in depth that we have, and granted, it's very few. So I'm speaking to it. I've spoken to them. I've completely broken, off where I don't even deal with them. I guess I support the other half, because I don't support the nonsense and the rhetoric that I've seen from them. And tonight they voted in support, pretty much, of the party that was in agreement to tearing down people's homes. But this is who they want to represent Poplarton now, a lady that abstained from a vote on removing people from their homes on Sarah Ann Street. So when I say infested, it's just infested.
Right. And I'm sure they have ties to local officials, and that's usually they have people in place to do things and clean things for them. I just wonder how much blood, like one of our viewers said, how much blood is on the hands of the prior administration. And if Braverman's name, how much he knows.
Well, my thing is that the feds come, they can have these superseding indictments. I say, let's get them going, because this is a mess.
The feds need to come in with everything. I mean, with the everyday procurement and contracting. When I was there, I was begging and wishing. I was every day just hoping the feds would walk in the building and just come review some of the things that we were doing. And now with these nonprofits, I mean, how deep is it going, and how are we going to succeed as a city? We've got a lot of knocks, the murders, the failure to solve the murders. We've got an inactive, kind of like a lame duck-ish mayor. He's just kind of like, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I know people were looking for Jack Young at one point during his last few months. Maybe he's with him. I don't know what's going on. I don't like the posturing. I want to tell Mayor Scott that, me as a citizen of the city, I don't like you posturing and the photo ops. I need you to get some work done. I need you to figure something out. I need something to work. Nothing is working. I need something to work.
Well, I'm trying to think of what's working. Well, what's working is the pressure from the people. That's what's working. And I'm saying, listen, I've reached out, they sent me the contact to one of the organizers in Fells Point so we can figure out how to escrow our taxes too. Because I wanted to know, like, how are we escrowing our taxes? Because the city needs to be held accountable. He was on Fox News
I said
today.
the whole city does it. I said
I say
everyone in the city, and we'll make a call today. What, 741, 616? The whole city. Let's all do it. Let's all escrow our taxes and not pay them a damn dime until they do something. The whole city. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm down for it because this is crazy. It's to the point, you can't trust any of them. You can't trust the administration. You can't trust, and last week I was just saying, get in contact with these grassroots organizations. And it's like I had to bite my tongue with this OIG. I mean, that things go on. And I mean, it may have been for the greater good. Maybe a greater thought initially. But then it detours. But then when it comes down to you're making money off of the same things, taking people homes, what is really your mission as this nonprofit in this neighborhood? It's very questionable.
And how many other nonprofits in other neighborhoods are doing this? This is just one. This is a drop in the bucket. Yeah, this is just a drop in the bucket. Tell us how to escrow our taxes. We're going to learn how to do that, and maybe we'll have a report on that at the end of the month. Like, Nicole, we're going to find out how to do that, and we'll let everyone know. Maybe we, as a city, we should just decide that we're going to take over. We can't continue to pay these salaries to people, and they're not doing anything. So maybe they just won't get any money from any of us. We all have to do it together.
Mm-hmm. Ritz-Carlton don't pay. You know what? And we have a question that says, Southwest Partnership, are they a grassroots? Honestly, there's supposed to be a formation of 6 neighborhoods. And each neighborhood is supposed to have their own representation. However, what I find is that they do not speak to the common. They only speak to the people that show up to the meetings. They are not speaking for the entire communities. Obviously, in the letter that was given to the developer against, the administration that was in place at the time, very suspect. Look, my question is how much have they raised in the last 6 years? And you just drive down West Baltimore Street and you tell me.
Well, yeah. What are the nonprofits are even really doing? I mean, and are they are they grassroots? It doesn't sound like it to me.
And then they've become landlords. They've purchased properties, which is in violation of their original charter. So let's talk about it. And they're one of the biggest slumlords on the block. They own a piece of property that, how are you going to go after other landlords for not repairing their property when yours is in disrepair? One of the largest on the block.
Because that's the way. You're auditing yourself, you're watching yourself, and no one is holding anyone accountable. So Southwest Partnership, who's going to hold them accountable? The people are. We're going to. So we want everyone to raise a stink, start a hashtag, dissolve Southwest Partnership. They need to start over. That the neighborhood is too important. All of our neighborhoods are too important. So we have to get active and, call the Justice Department. Do whatever you have to do to get this fixed. But we have to get really active and really start a very strong movement to put this kind of stuff out. And I guarantee you there are politicians tied to Southwest Partnership, and they're getting a kickback. And now it's catching up with them. And I believe that's probably why they have a certain person on the board, because as the board of directors, he's going to accept more than maybe you or I would, and let a lot more slip, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. The question,
and he could be the fall guy for everything as well.
Well, that I promised them that he will eventually be, because of the point. The fact is that if he was not removed from the board, that I would be filing that official complaint to, question their 501c3 status. And I'm doing that on behalf of the citizens of West Baltimore, that this agency has proven to be ineffective in their leadership. 100%. They've been in place for 6 years, has raised millions, and they've now become a landlord. They've taken large state funding to purchase properties that are once again in disrepair. You know, so and
Right.
now it's very suspect, very, very suspect, so that they can control this and control it. It all needs a thorough investigation, and they need a third party to come in here and just basically unravel, because West Baltimore is like a third world country in some areas. And I'm just being 100% honest. We have over 11,000 vacancies that are in that neighborhood, and you have a association, well, this partnership that is supposed to represent all of them. You only get 2 or 3 out of that 6 that are equally really represented. That's a problem.
Yeah, so we have a call to action. We have a call to action. We're going to figure out how to escrow and ask all homeowners and business owners to do that. And also, like organizations, like I always wondered when I saw things come across my desk for Park Heights Renaissance. It's like Park Heights Renaissance. What's happening in Park Heights and all the neighborhoods that have these different associations that are getting grants and funds for salaries? What are they doing? I just don't see. The schools are not working. Again, I say this again and again. Um, Nothing is working. Nothing is working. So
And
one of our viewers said that Southwest partnership has denied access to the only business association, CPBO, in the district.
in which they have CPBO pretty much compromises members that control a lot of real estate in the West Baltimore area. And pretty much due to issues, I'm assuming, and now I'm making the assumption that they try to say that, I guess, if you're black and you own property, that you're militant, which is an assumption. Oh yeah, it's a high assumption, but there is some friction with this Union Square. Union Square is split between 2 different factions. You have the Union Square that does not align with CPBO, that is quite intimidated by black business owners, that is intimidated by blacks that own property. That's number one. Then you have the other side that is more free spirited. They're down for everybody. Okay, so it's split between 2 different factions. But CPBO is pretty much is a force to be reckoned with. Southwest Partnership does not recognize them, although they control a large portion of real estate. It makes no sense to me.
So if they're part of the 6 neighborhoods, how do they not recognize the? Or that's strange, but okay.
Because they're black, and somewhere they figure that's it.
So do you think that this is all a movement to move all the black residents out of the area? That's why they're not able to purchase their homes. When they took the land with this one developer, that there was a large tract of land that was granted, and these homeowners can't come back and purchase a home. It's a way to push people permanently out of the city. Just another way.
The fact that they are not holding the developer to the contract that was signed to bring homes, not rental properties, homes, is telling. That's why that whole media debacle with the highway to nowhere is laughable. That because it's not about home ownership. Because here they don't respect the CPBO, and no, CPBO is not part of Southwest Partnership because they were not allowed to be part of Southwest Partnership, and they're fine with that because once again they are majority landholders in that neighborhood collectively. So my thing is that if you don't respect the people that are there, we are in trouble. And that's where we are. And that's why I'm trying to write this so that the state and the federal government looks at their 501c3 status, because it is an issue. It is an issue that they do not represent all people. And where's the money? Where has the money gone? I tried to review their audits. The last one looks like it was posted for taxes, 2019? That's a problem. And now with this OIG report, and their response to the OIG report, if I was the former administration, I would get away from them too. And Brandon, I would get away from them too. I would run because it's very suspect. Very suspect.
Right. And so their response isn't within the posted on the IG's site. And which is also, I guess they're not an internal organization, so they typically don't get an opportunity to respond because typically you'll see a response back from the party or the organization. And DHCD did submit their response yesterday to the report, but maybe they will make that public. That is them again admitting that they were the nonprofit that was mentioned in the IG report, which it blows my mind that they did that. But it's good that they did it, so we at least know who it is.
Well, I really had no doubts because, like, once I kind of read that, and once I kind of played back in my mind a conversation 3 weeks prior, I just kind of said, And then when I went to the board of directors meeting last night, the topic came up where basically, again, they were referencing the OIG as making inaccurate statements. Melody Simmons, who's the reporter for the Baltimore Business Journal, of covering inadequate statements. And then they issued a report today in response to where my money was. Okay. And they basically sign off that, that they didn't get any fees and that they didn't set up this fake state funds, but they did get fees because you took a portion of someone's interest, which is profit, right? That they didn't earn. The tax sales certificates that I thought that I was purchasing in my company's name was in their name. See, all of that. And that's why when I requested my paperwork, I did exactly as I was asked, to request the specifics that was sent from the city. And the specifics that I was sent from the city had their name on it. It's highly suspect. And I probably would have just let it slide. But the fact that they continue to, they have no problem with, they have this governance board that has not regulated this person who is sitting as president that is clearly in bed with this developer in detriment to this community. It's astounding. I spoke to a lady today that talked about having to clean up blood off of her stoop because she cannot get anybody from the city to come out to assist her. This is in Poe Homes. That's a problem for me. So I gave her, because I got John Bullock's cell number, I said, well, you call him up then. I did. So John Bullock, she's going to be calling you.
I'm sure she already has.
She already has. She's called. And
if I had blood on my stoop, I would be calling him.
She's called as she should call. My thing is, she done tried to call other city agencies and they have not responded. And she said she had to be out there scrubbing her stoop with her 5-year-old son. That is
again, when you're paying for cities, we have such high taxes in the city. What are we paying for? You can't drive down the street without getting a flat tire because of the potholes. You can't go really enjoy the parks because they're half mowed and there's trash where the contractor just mows over trash, if they even mow it and leave the grass there. You can't enjoy anything in the city. Your water bill. I'm getting calls from people still in Baltimore County where they've got $10,000 water bills from our water billing system. You can't trust the water billing. I'll ask you again, because I know sometimes you try to give these politicians some credit. What is working? Please, the viewers, please put in the comments. We'll give you a second. What is working?
The people are working. We're working right now because they are ticked off. Everywhere I go, the people are mad.
The people aren't getting paid to work. What is working? Where is my money going? Where is it going?
Speed cameras.
That's more money. They're collecting more money from that. That is a very big contract.
Mm-hmm.
What happens from the money they collect from the speed cameras? Nothing. The community's doing the work. Yes. So that's what we're going to have to do. If they don't want to do it, we've got to do it ourselves. And again, it's a call to action. Escrow that money.
Because why are we paying them if we got to keep doing the work? I have a 70-year-old neighbor next door to the store. She out cleaning the storm gutters. The ones down. That's embarrassing.
Maybe they don't need to be paid. Maybe they don't need to be paid for a year, like some of our minority businesses that are on these contracts that don't get paid by white contractors for a year. Maybe the city council, maybe the mayor, maybe, maybe the whole administration should not, they should just forego getting a check for a year and see what it feels like. And, maybe that's the solution. Maybe they need to feel a little hurt and a little pain. Then when they try to call unemployment, they can't get anyone. I mean, what's working? Somebody tell me what's working. Nothing is working. The people are working. So the people should get paid then. The people should get paid. If we're doing the work to police our community, take care of our community, and I'm very happy we're doing it. And I love what's happening. And maybe this is what needed to happen to unite the city. And if we could just stop the violence, have some ceasefires, please. If anyone is watching that knows, I'm just begging everyone to stop the shooting. We have to work together as a community and come together. And I think that's what we need. I think this is what we needed. Maybe we just needed failed leadership, administration after administration after administration, for us to finally say, we're not going anywhere. We're going to stay rooted in our city. We're going to fight for our city as a team.
Yeah. And so my question, we have someone here that says that Union Square had someone. So was it Union Square, or was it just members that live in Union Square that had Linda Lomax come out? Because from my understanding, it was not the sitting president and vice president that had her come out. It was members that called for Linda. I just want to make sure that we clarify that. It was not the sitting president of Union Square nor vice president. It was members of you that reside of Union Square. So we have to make sure, because a lot of those people that called to get Linda out also don't get newsletters. So we're very aware of what's going on in that neighborhood. And Black people been fighting for a better city. Well, we finna turn it up. We're turning it up because we are tired. I am tired. I am so tired. And it is back. Oh, well, yeah, but there you go. They telling it. It's important to note that they're backed, established, and regulated. So they're not even for the people. That's the question. Where it goes back to grassroots, they're not even for the people.
Well, one of the most successful people in this city that thrive in the city are never for the people. Just know that. Just know that. The people that are really thriving are never for the people. That makes sense.
But isn't that some form of collusion? I mean, they're sitting here and they're basically, wow. Yeah, because part of their governance board does have members of the former Bomb Secure, as well as, the University of Maryland. And, and granted, we saw the University of Maryland, how they cooperate with Healthy Holly. We saw that. So it's, hey, it's out there. It's public knowledge. So my thing is that it just seems a little improper. They shouldn't even have any voting rights at all of anything, honestly, because it's a little biased.
Right. So, to wrap this up, we didn't get Miss Edie on. I guess she's still on the call. A lot is going on with her. Sorry we didn't have her on. I will tell you again, please tune in next week. We'll have a state delegate kind of give us an update on Annapolis and her district, first term delegate, what's going on? Are you running again? How do you feel? About what's going on in the city, because even though they're in the state, they still are affected by what's going on in the city, definitely, and what impacts they've made and what they can make. But we're asking for a call to action. Everybody to keep fighting, keep applying pressure, keep calling. They're counting on us getting tired, but it looks like the tables are turning, and I think they're getting a little tired.
Let them get tired, because we are rejuvenated. We are tired. We have seen it. I watched a young man, he's getting ready to have his opening at this Be More Greens. And I said, where's his facade grant at? Why can't you help that brother get a facade with a sign that, that you give out to these other organizations? I'm just saying. So pressure. I want to see pressure. I'm loving it. I'm loving, the fact that they look distressed at these news conference. They should. Because we are tired. We are tired of the corruption. We are tired of the inequity, because I haven't seen no equity. So That's a double negative
I
there. My
keep
mother would
telling
have
you
a
that
fit, but
that's
none.
just a title. It's not something that's actionable in this city at this time. So, Mayor Scott, we're waiting for you to take this seriously because this city needs you to take your job seriously. You can't get away with what you were doing in city council for years. You are the mayor now. So we are waiting for you to do something. And again, we'd love to have you on the show. We'd love to have the inspector general on the show. We'd love to have someone from the administration on the show. Last person in the administration I spoke to ducked out within 5 minutes. So we're just waiting to talk to somebody that wants to talk about what the administration is doing. And we welcome you to come. So again, everyone, please tune in next week. Please keep applying pressure, keep commenting. We've got to, they don't like to see that. So keep on commenting and keep applying pressure to this administration. Nicole, why don't you take us out because you are still hot from that meeting.
Woo, hot. Stay focused, stay engaged, apply pressure. If they not coming, you start tagging them on Facebook, tagging them on Instagram. You have to call them out in front of hundreds of people, then that's what you do. Because enough is enough. We want homes, we want legacies, just like the next. You take a home, you replace a home. And if you can't do that, we need to pull back your contract. Because as I recall, Joan Pratt and Mr. Horton, they spoke against this developer because they had their reservations. So if you take a home, you better put back a home because we are watching. Requesting additional funds from the city because you want to put a grocery store there, that's nice, but we're going to be watching and you're going to be held accountable. Again, take a home, you better put back a home. We've had enough of this. We've had enough of the city basically taking our tax dollars and doing what they want. There needs to be some accountability. So I do applaud the OIG for this one portion, but we're not done. We're not done at all. Do not get tired. Do not get weary because we will wear them down because it is many of us and they need us. Because if we don't pay, they can't play because they ain't going to have no money.
That's right. So once again, we're educating the community one interview at a time. We will see you guys next week. Don't forget to tune in. Good night.